Today on the Diz List, we count down the top 5 ways we do Disney differently.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we're going to count down the top 5 ways we do Disney differently. So not meaning we together,
right,
but we together.
We separately, right?
Correct. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So
Nick and I is by
yes.
we. I mean, we've done Disney together, like
we have
together as families, but we generally approach them differently. And that's the focus of today's episode.
Yeah. I mean, this came out of a post I put on patreon.com, right? And I put out over there, like, give us ideas for the 200th. And they're like, you guys agree too much. You should argue. So what do you disagree about? And then Rob and I were talking. It's like, we don't really disagree because we see the virtues in what we do that's different, but we still do it the way that we do it. So
yes, but we don't think the other person's wrong. It's just
right.
Like,
I don't think it's wrong the way that you do
yeah.
Disney.
Right.
I just don't do it that way.
No, like Nick and I argue about plenty of stuff all the time. Like if you're around us, like, yeah, we disagree, but that's kind of the reason we do this podcast, is because this is something that we love and we have in common. But
right.
Yeah. So anyway, if this were a sports podcast, we both like the Buffalo Bills, but other than that,
that's about where it stops.
We have different teams. Yeah, that's all. Do you want to get to the big news, or do you have anything else?
Sure. Yeah. No. Let's go right into some news here.
Okay. So I want to start before we say any of this. I talked to Nick about what I was going to go over today. So I want to stress that this is a rumor. This is not anything that is officially stated. Now, this was something that was reported by WDW News today. I have to give credit to the source here, if it's legit or not. Okay. So I took some notes while I was watching this news report here. So in February, there was a court deposition, and Imagineer Tom Rimmer was questioned about a few things. And a person representing the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District said, how many hotels are currently under construction? And his answer, you'd probably say 1, right? The lakes, what's it? Lakeside Lodge, right? What's it called?
Lakeside Lodge, Lakeside, Shoreside Lodge. I don't know. I get so confused because it was Lakeshore and now it's Lakeside, or it was Lakeside, now it's Lakeshore. Either way.
Yeah, because
the artist formerly known as Reflections. That's what we'll call it.
Fair. So here's the answer to that question. The question was, how many hotels are currently under construction? The answer was 1 or 2, which definitely surprised Nick right away.
Yeah. Or?
Yes. So then the person from the oversight district asked where, and apparently the Disney lawyer objected to answering that question. But eventually the Imagineer, and in a roundabout way, and that's what they said, was eventually, they didn't give a play-by-play there. They said they would be located in the new area where the Magic Kingdom is expanding. So your response when I told you this earlier was, wait a minute, what? And I said, I'm assuming it's going to be like Disneyland, where in California Adventure, they have the connected hotels with the Pixar Hotel and the Grand Californian.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Imagineer was saying where we're expanding near Magic Kingdom, as in that's where Lakeshore Lodge or Lakeside Lodge, whatever, the new thing is. Because there's no way we get this deep into the construction and like a Villains Land area and like cars and stuff like that, and they haven't like already pulled permits if they were going to do that. But that said, if they do that, let's pretend this is a world in which WDW News today picked up on some crazy conversation that wasn't supposed to be really public. Let's pretend that if that's the case, take my money. Take it.
Yeah.
Take all of it. Take every single dime I have left, because I will buy a ton of DVC points, because you know it's going to have DVC.
Yeah.
I will buy a ton of DVC points there. And just, I mean, I can't even fathom. Like,
so let's say
Bay Lake Tower is cool
Yeah.
because it's close and it's got great
Yeah.
views.
Yeah.
Now drop one in the park. Drop one at the gate where you walk out, you go through security, and you're in the park. Do that. And
Well, there were
watch
rumors
the
for
people just go.
there were rumors for a while that in Adventureland, they were going to put something there that would connect to the monorail in between the Magic Kingdom entrance and the Grand Floridian. That was like rumors from years ago. That's not anything new that they're looking at doing. But do you understand the area I'm talking about?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there would be a hotel
basically
there.
where the station is now. You could build a hotel on the backside of, like, going away from the lake or from the lagoon right there. And that would butt up against Adventureland 100%. That would be wild.
And then, pun intended, they could do it at the backside of water, like, yes, I'm trying to do a joke here with Jungle Cruise, but you could put it there kind of on the banks of the Jungle Cruise,
or get rid of the Jungle Cruise,
or that's true too, and put in that coaster. So let's pivot back here to kind of what they're saying here. So the quote is, let me get back to it again. It would be located in the new area where Magic Kingdom is expanding. So let's say this expansion is in 3 phases. Okay. Let's say phase 1 is Cars Land and everything that's going on with Cars, because obviously they're much closer with finishing that part. So let's say that's part 1, phase 1. Phase 2 is our Villains Land in the back. That's all stuff that is official. Cars Land definitely is taking shape. So that's why I'm giving that the first phase here. Phase 2 is going to be our Villains Land. Maybe we don't know about it yet, but maybe that's a D23 thing where they're like, well, we're also doing phase 3 and we're working on the permits and all that. We haven't heard of any of that yet. And that would connect somewhere, which leads me to my question for you. Where would you put that hotel to connect? Where would you put it?
I'd put it with Villains Land. It would be a phase 3 going to Villains Land. Honestly.
The hotel would be themed to Villains Land? What do you think? Or just a regular hotel that connects?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Theming to villains, that's a tough sell to some people, especially younger kids.
I think it would be themed. So it would depend on who they end up theming the most of the land to.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for instance, we have heard potentially that the coaster is going to be, was it Hades themed, right? Or no, was that might have been
that was the dining. It was going to be
Kronk.
Yes.
Kronk, right?
Yes. Emperor's New Groove.
Groove.
Again, rumor. We don't, nothing is official yet.
And we've heard that the restaurant was Hercules themed, I believe.
Yes.
They could go like a Greek theme, right? That would maybe fit in if the restaurant was placed properly, right? I'm not sure how they would theme it or if they would theme it to villains. What I will say is this: if there are all of a sudden now 2 entrances to that park, right? It saves or solves a number of problems. Okay. When you think of Epcot and the ability for people who are staying in the boardwalk area resorts to go out that back entrance, it really makes the flow at the end of the night significantly better than Magic Kingdom, which essentially has to open backstage areas to let you out. So a second entrance there would help with things. Okay. I question whether or not this is actually happening, solely because at some point you reach a saturation and you don't want to have so many hotels that all of your hotels are at 60% capacity.
Well, this one will be at 100% capacity.
Well, correct. But they've got to come from somewhere, right? You have an infinite number of people who are going to the parks and going to Disney World. As you build more and more, that's going to dilute things, and you're paying the same amount to staff the resort, whether or not it's full, right?
That's
And
a good
so,
point.
like when you're at 60% capacity versus 70% capacity, it seems like a small amount, but that's a big difference when it comes to profitability. And so I don't know that it's a wise fiscal move. That said, Disney has not been known in the last decade for wise fiscal moves. So who knows? D23 is going to be bonkers this year, is what we're finding out, basically.
So we've known Disney recently to close a hotel with the, they basically took that loss on Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah, it's the most expensive office building in Orlando.
Do you ever see them closing any of these resorts, for staff reasons? Like, I don't even know which one I would pick. I mean, the All-Stars, they do well with, and they're almost always full because their budget. I don't know which one I would even make a suggestion to.
At the moment,
I would have to look at the numbers.
Well, at the moment, they don't need to. But like, if they're going to have the new Lakeshore Lodge or Lakeside Lodge, and they're going to have the new, and let's pretend that this is news and not a rumor, at some point you would have to. But right now, they don't need to. But like, at some point, you'd have to consider, like, A, either closing one of them, or B, we have to make the capacity much bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my suspicion would be that if they are going full send on resorts, then they almost have to be building a fifth gate.
Yeah.
Like it's got to
fill
happen.
Those rooms. Yeah.
Now, if they were to build a resort like the one, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's one over like in Orlando that is like got like their pool is basically a pond. I can't remember it's a new one. It's got like condos and villas, and it's got regular hotel rooms and whatever.
You showed it to me.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it either.
If they were to do something like that, where the idea was that it's Disney, but you're not here for the parks, I think at that point they'd be okay. But you can't keep putting more people on property with no change in what's available. And like, I get it. Cars Land, Monsters Inc., Villains, and Tropical Americas. I get that. But that's not a fifth gate. It's just not.
No,
it's not the same.
I don't think it's going to eat enough people.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially, they could be doing this. I'm skeptical for two reasons. One, the source, and I don't mean that to disparage them, but sometimes they are clickbaity. And two, like, that could be a purposeful leak for like testing the waters, because they said 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2. Well, which is it? Because right now there's 1. Like, there's no way around that. There's 1 under construction,
and you can see it when you're on the monorail.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not hidden.
No, I mean, unless they're talking about like the refurbishments, like. But anyhow, I don't know. That's wild. When you said that to me, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that. But it's fun to think about, and we'll find out probably in August if that's true. Because if that's happening, we'll know in August.
Yes.
Or by August, I should say. So we're going to head off to the halftime show. And after the halftime show, we're going to talk about how we do Disney differently. The halftime show this week and every week is brought to you by our patrons over on patreon.com/DizListPod. You can head over there. You can join for free. You could join as a jungle skipper. And for about the cost of a cup of coffee per month, you will get access to new episodes early, and you'll get access to bonus content. And we have a lot of it. We have,
yes, we do.
We
really have more than most.
We have 140 some odd episodes of bonus content as well.
And they're fun. They're like games, and it's stuff that kind of holds up over time. It's not all, some of them are current news discussions, but
I had one of our newest patrons reach out and say that they could listen to that wheel spin for hours and hours and hours. So I jokingly said, no commentary, just the wheel.
Let's just put out like a half an hour of the wheel spinning, and then at the end,
okay too. Yeah,
you got the guy hooting in the crowd every time after the wheel finished.
Yeah, So I thought that was pretty funny. So shout out to Eli because he was the one who said that. But all right, we're going to have the halftime show and we'll see you right after the break. Welcome back. This half of the show, not halftime show, this half of the show, on this side of the halftime break, we will be talking about how we do Disney differently. Again, this came out of a Patreon post I made about what we should do for the 200th. And we got so many good ideas. We figured we would do this to ramp up toward our 200th. How do we disagree, or not really disagree, but how do we do Disney differently?
We do, and our number 5, I think, it's a good transition to our conversation that we had in the first half of the show, and that conversation dealt with hotels. So for hotels, Nick and I will do these a little bit differently in a couple different ways. The way that we stay in hotels is totally different. So I'm going to start kind of by saying I think the overall thing is deluxe versus budget. But I think when Nick talks about it, he's going to mention DVC and I'm going to mention, Airbnb and stuff like that. And I didn't mean to rhyme that on purpose here. So the way that our crew does it is that we perennially have done, I call it the collection. And I like to start at the bottom and collect all the hotels and stay at all the hotels too. That wasn't really part of it, but I think that's another way you and I kind of do it differently, is you have your favorites and you like to stay at your favorites, right? You'd say that's different?
I mean, we go back to our home resort more frequently than we don't. But it's hard to say no to the Poly. So yeah,
that is true, which luckily we stayed at with you that one time, and that was fantastic. But we do it kind of, we try to make our hotel stay as cheap as we can do it so we can spend money other places. So for us, we don't have DVC. Okay, Nick does have DVC. He's going to talk about it when it's his turn to go. But what we like to do is we like to try to stay at all the different resorts in Walt Disney World. I think maybe we're about halfway, maybe a little less than halfway with all the different resorts that we've stayed at so far. But we sort of started at the bottom with All Stars and then worked our way up from there through the moderate hotels. But also we've stayed at a couple other places. The last 2 times we went, other than the Airbnb. So the last 2 times we went with our family, we stayed with, they call them the Disney Springs hotels. So they're considered good neighbor hotels. So you get the perks like early entry and things like that. And those are the 2 hotels that are over by Disney Springs. So I think before kind of going through and naming every hotel, which I don't think I need to do right now, I think we need to focus on how it's different. We, as our family, we like to do the budget choice. We like to do, let's spend as little as we possibly can. Whereas Nick's family, I'm going to pass it off to Nick here, you do it completely differently because you got in with DVC early. Early, meaning
early in
by your second
Disney
trip, right?
Yeah, my second trip, I was an owner. Correct.
Well, why don't you tell that story? Because I don't know if some of our new listeners kind of know your history with DVC and going to Disney. Why don't you do that?
I have only ever stayed in DVC rooms. So my first time going, we rented DVC points at the Poly, and I fell in love right away. It was like, this is remarkable. Disney's awesome.
Now, how did you hear about that initially? Just from, I know you do a lot of research, just from researching, because it's not something you heard from me.
No, it was just research. Like, we were researching where we wanted to stay and had narrowed it down to ones we could afford on the budget we had for the 10-day trip. And then as I was doing research about, like, the budget and how to make it work, I found out that it's cheaper to go and rent DVC. So we went from having planned to get like a studio in Animal Kingdom or a studio in Port Orleans to, my gosh, we can stay at the Poly. And not that the Animal Kingdom Lodge is anything but deluxe, because it is deluxe, but among the deluxe resorts is not a super expensive one, because of how far away it is from stuff. And the room at the Poly was going to be the same cost as Port Orleans. So to rent DVC. So I rented DVC, and then ended up COVID hits a year later, which at the beginning of COVID, prices for DVC just plummeted. So I jumped on a DVC contract at the Poly. And then they rebounded significantly. So I'm glad I did it when I did. And then since then, I've only ever stayed DVC. And so for me, it's not about budget, because points are points, right?
Mhm.
Like, it costs me the same every year. It costs me my dues, which work out to be basically like a $200 a night to stay.
It's great.
It depends on like what I'm doing, but like, about $250 a night, I guess, would be a more accurate description to stay in a studio at the Poly. So to stay in a 1-bedroom's like, I can do 8 nights. Like, I'm doing 7 nights this year, and it's not even touching my full allotment. I could do 8 or 9 nights, and it would touch my full allotment for the year. So like, that's a difference, right? When you don't have to think about the cost. Now staying at Grand Floridian and staying in a cabin and staying, all these different places becomes the same as staying anywhere, right? Staying at Port Orleans, staying at Coronado Springs, staying at All Stars and Pop, right? Because it costs the same no matter what. So that's kind of the way it is different for me, that we do it differently. We don't have a need to, if I want to get a bigger accommodation, I don't have the need to go to an Airbnb, because I can just say, okay, we're going to get a 2-bedroom this time. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not financially a smart move for somebody paying rack rate at all. Like, I would never say to you, why are you getting an Airbnb? Just get a 2-bedroom. Like, that would be borderline stupid to do, like, financially. Right. But for me, it's like, okay, I have my 350 points I get every year.
You just choose where you want to use them,
choose
and how
where I
many
want to
days,
go.
and the size room.
Yeah. Like, next year we're getting a smaller room. We want to go to the boardwalk and stay in the studio, and that's like going to be, I don't know, like 95 points. So I'm banking all my points, and the next year we're going to go baller and probably get a cabin. Like, why not? You know what I mean? It is a difference, right? And I don't disagree with how Rob does it, because if I didn't have DVC, and if I had never jumped on a contract when the prices plummeted, I wouldn't be sitting here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something I would have done, but they did plummet, so I jumped on them.
So I want to take a second and plug something that we did a few months ago. I think it's months at this point, but a friend of the show, Craig, shout out to Craig, who is part of the Ear Scouts podcast. We had Craig on. Craig is also a big DVC person, and so is Nick. And I sort of facilitated a conversation between the two of them. So if you're somebody listening now going, yeah, I might be interested in this, either buying DVC or renting, we're not really affiliated with any company at all at this point, but we'd like to. But if you're interested, we have a Patreon that you can sign up for free. This is not a sales pitch. So
this is a free episode, 100% free, but you have to be a member.
So if you go to Patreon and you sign up as a member, again, this doesn't cost you anything. You'll have access to the free episode where Nick talks about DVC, and Craig too. Nick and Craig, they have this long conversation.
He's
and
been
they
a member
answer
longer than I
questions.
have.
And they answer questions from our patrons. And I mean, if there's additional questions after listening to it you might have, go ahead and message Nick or try to get a hold of Craig. But it's probably a little easier to get a hold of Nick because you're listening to us right now.
I disagree. If you post, if you're a member, you can also post in our chat rooms that are there,
in our forums, right?
Yep. And Craig will definitely see it, and we'll
That's
get
true.
back to you. I can almost
Craig is in there, and I
can almost guarantee you.
That's a good point. That's a little easier for everybody, I think.
Yeah, you put it right in there, and then we can. I mean, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or something like that, or an email, cool. But I promise you that if you post in there, that one of us will see it and get back to you.
So our number 4 is kind of it's a joke one. It's a little bit quicker, but our number 4 is mustard versus mayo. And a long time ago, Nick and I sort of accidentally got into this like argument, which, was not set up. It just kind of happened organically. It was really funny. And a lot of people, I mean, at some point we can probably repost that. I think it'd be funny to do, but we had a discussion about Dinosaur in Animal Kingdom. And when you are getting onto the ride in Dinosaur, there are 3 pipes that are on the wall, and one is red, one is white, and one is yellow, and they represented ketchup, mayo, and mustard. And it's because McDonald's used to sponsor the ride, so they had those pipes that represent, and they have the chemical makeup like marked right on it too. And it just turned into this discussion between Nick and I, and I'll let him take over the second half of the story here. I'll just do the setup, and it just turned into the funniest moment. And you have a great memory for this. You probably even remember when it was. Do you remember when?
When, like, as far as like what episode it was,
or roughly? It was near the beginning of when we first started the podcast.
Yeah, I'm actually currently in our online like folders trying to see if I can find it, because I would upload the clip. But yeah,
wow.
Because I've separated that once before. Anyway, what I would say is, I think, as I recall, it stemmed from, yes, as you mentioned, a discussion about that particular ride.
We did a ranking.
For some reason, we're like, basically, we went through and
let's do our top 3. How would we rank ketchup, mayo, and mustard?
And when I ranked mine, you were like, wait, what? You what? You were so, and I was like, yeah, dude. Because I said it would go mustard, mayo, ketchup, top to bottom. Mustard 1, mayo 2, ketchup 3. And you were like, no way. Yeah. How do you put mustard that high?
None of those were even equal in mine. So I had 3 was mustard, 2 was ketchup, and 1 was mayo. So I developed this love for mayo after going to Europe a number of times, because they didn't have ketchup on the table. There was mayo on the table. So when I was eating fries, I got used to having fries with mayo on them, and I just got so into it.
Which is 100%. If you go to Canada, you go to Montreal, for instance, you're probably gonna find a condiment like that. Yeah. I mean, I grew up eating, like, putting mayo on some of my fries too, so I get it. And ketchup is kind of a uniquely American thing, because it's super sweet. But mustard, man, goes on everything.
We'll have to find that clip at some point.
Even turkey legs.
That's right. That's another good clip that we need too.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, another one that we kind of do differently, and this has sort of changed over time a little bit, but generally Nick will do leisure and non-park time, and I will do like rope drop to park close. Well, I call them marathon days. I'll do like a marathon open to close, and we used to do that when our kids were younger, and boy, I can't believe we did that. We'd have to do these times where they would stop and rest. Like 4
I would not recommend it.
4 o'clock every day is when they were done. They were melting down. We'd have to go somewhere and like quietly, and not even really like a meal. We just have to go somewhere quietly and have them decompress, then get a meal, then get out and keep going. Because my wife and I are of the mindset where we want to get our every dollar's worth, every penny's worth. And if the park is open, we are there and we are doing something. And then we eventually learned through time that we'd probably enjoy it a little bit more if we took a break. But that's something that Nick has always done from the beginning. So I'll let you talk a little bit about pool time and things like that. So this is another way we
more
differ.
About quality, not quantity. Because I know well enough that, myself included, I would not be able to handle a day of just going nonstop. For instance, a perfect example, Hollywood Studios. If I'm rope dropping Hollywood Studios, you can guarantee that by 2:30 or 3, you can find me at the pool bar. Okay. Because I'm not going much past lunch. I'm gonna by 10 o'clock, I'm stopping and going to Baseline Tap House. Yes, at 10 o'clock. Don't judge.
Whatever.
I'm going to Baseline Tap House.
You're on vacation. Do you, man?
It's vacation, man. So, I'm going in there. I'm getting my charcuterie board, getting a pretzel, sitting down with the family in that nice area under an umbrella, having a drink, eating some of that as a mid-morning snack. And by 1 or 2 o'clock, I'm done. And I'm headed back to the hotel. and I'm relaxing because that is a higher quality for me of a time. Now, there's so much to do at the hotels that it doesn't have to be the pool. It can be the pool, but you could just go and at Animal Kingdom, I just went and sat in that. If you go into the Kidani Village to the right-hand side as you walk in, not in the big one, not in Jumbo House, but the DVC property is on the right-hand side as you walk in, there is this little lounge-ish type area that looks out onto the savannah. Just sat there, chill.
Nice.
Over in Beach Club in their DVC resort at the DVC building at the bottom, there's a little room that's got billiards and stuff like that, and then there's another room that's a reading room. Just go hang out there, or just go back to your room, take a nap. You know what I mean? Go over to Disney Springs. Do the things that are going to make you happy, not force yourself to be in that park until closed. Now, have I done that? Absolutely. But it's by my own choice. It was not because I was trying to stretch my dollar or trying to stretch my day. It was I'm having fun. Let's keep doing this. But I'm all about the leisure. Let's go back to the parks and relax. Not that you're not, but
one of the ways that you showed us when we went on our trip together is we got, and I know you'll remember this because you're good at remembering these things, but however many days we did we do, I don't know if we did 7 or 8 days together, because I did more than you even, because we stayed longer and you went back for the soccer game, remember?
Well, it wasn't because of the soccer game, but yes, I went back to a soccer game, correct. It was I believe we were there for 7 days.
So we did a ticket package through a specific company that gave us discounts once you buy X number of days. We'll say it's 8.
I mean, Disney is the same way.
The cost, true. And I wasn't saying it was only that specific site.
Right,
I was just saying that's where we bought them. That the cost per day gets so low that it's you can find that in your couch. Okay. I mean, not literally, but the cost got down to wasn't around when you got to day 8 or 9. And again, you're the numbers guy. It got to $25-$30 a day per person. Is that right? Or am I off?
I want to say that when you're adding a day, it was going up by about $20 to add a day.
I thought so. Yeah. When you get that high, when you get to your 8th day,
anything past day 5, I would say, anything past day 5, you might as well just get it for the full length of your trip. Even if you look, I'm not suggesting to waste it and not go in, but it's better to have it so that you can than to end up getting stuck. You're there for 8 days and you have a 7-day ticket, and you have to take a day off because you show up, your flight lands at let's say 10 in the morning. You jump into the park because everybody's super excited to go. Your flight doesn't leave out of Orlando until 6. So then you're just either sitting around the hotel all morning or really all day, or you got to force a DVC or a Disney Springs day where you just can only watch the fireworks from. So for me, especially because I'm typically staying nearer to a park, I'm typically going to have a ticket for every single day of my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads me to it brings me right to number 2. So number 2 here is the ways that generally we do our tickets. You almost always, correct me if I'm wrong, are park hopper ticket. Almost always. Is that right? And I'm almost always a single park day. And part of the reason for that, I mean, there's multiple reasons. We've done park hopper before. When we've done short trips, we wanted to do all 4 parks. So we do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We would hop around and we would do that. So I've done both before. But one of the main reasons is my crew, they always prefer, and I ask them every time, do you want to do park hopper or what? And they say, no, when we go to Epcot, we want to focus just on Epcot the whole day. When we go to Animal Kingdom, we just want to do that. They don't want to travel back and forth. And we have done it. They didn't love it. So that's another way that Nick and I will do the parks differently. I will do the single ticket and just focus on one day, even if we take a break. Even if we do take a break and hop on the monorail and go back or grab an Uber or Lyft or whatever, we'll come back to that same park because our minds are sort of focused on that specific park that day. that's the way we like to do it. Nick likes the ability to kind of go with where the wind takes you. Is that part of it? Is that your family's mindset, or I don't want to speak for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily where the wind takes us, but it certainly is more of a, because we stay where we stay. Like, if you had a day at Hollywood Studios and you get back to your hotel and you happen to be at the Poly and you can see the Magic Kingdom, like you look up wait times. Like, there's nothing worse than looking up a wait time, because we've done not park hopper before, but like when you look at the wait time over at, let's say, Tron, imagine this. You look at the wait time, it's 45 minutes, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't go in there.
Let's hop on the monorail right now.
But now I can't. Now I can. You know what I mean?
I remember that story. I think it was when you were maybe staying at Bay Lake Tower.
Yes.
And you said to your son, hey, look at the line for, what was it, Space Mountain? And you guys hopped over and yeah. So I mean, that's a great option too, if you need it.
Yeah. I do want to point out. So I just pulled it up. We are not associated with Unlocked Magic, but Unlocked Magic is what I just pulled up. 7-day adult ticket in July is $654.40. Okay. A 7-day park hopper ticket is $736.75. So you're talking basically about $80, right?
Yeah.
You know, to me, the park hopper just makes sense to add. And, you know, to that point, you can get more done. So like, I'm not worried if I have park hopper on missing out on something.
Right.
Like, I can jump over to Magic Kingdom and do a ride that I've been waiting to do, because I can do that on the day we went to Epcot. I can do that. I can go over to Epcot and be like, you know, I know everybody else is tired, but I'm going to go over to Epcot. It's not that big of a deal. And, you know, I just looked up as well, like the difference between 7-day and 8-day. So like, we're going for 7 nights, which means we have 8 days. Now, sure, we are landing around 11 a.m. and we're leaving around, I think it's 5 p.m.
Good.
So like, we do have the full 8 days, basically. It's a difference on the park hopper side, park hopper ticket. It's a difference of $25, not even $25, $21.
Wow.
$21 more to go from 7 days to 8 days. So like, why wouldn't I?
Yep.
You know what
and
I mean?
That was the thought process when we booked those tickets, when we went together.
Yeah.
I never felt guilty. I never felt like I got to get my money's worth and I got to go do this or I got to do that. It was like, hey, if I don't mind going back, because it's almost like you're getting a freebie, even though you're not, you know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
I think that there's just a peace of mind for somebody that has more of a thrifty mindset, that you're not missing out. You know, I think that's kind of the way that my brain works, is if I'm not at the parks and I have the ability to be there, I'm losing my battle, you know?
Right. Yeah.
This makes me feel better. Like, oh, wow, it's a great deal. I don't have to sweat it, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I get what you guys do as far as like stay at one park.
I
get
just
that.
because we're focused there. Like,
Right.
okay, today's
I've done
Epcot
it.
day. That's the only thing we want to. Yeah.
I've done it, but it's also, I've also been the one sitting there looking on my app being like, you mean I could walk to Haunted Mansion with the 13-minute wait and I can't because I went to Animal Kingdom today? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's tough.
It's a great benefit. I agree.
So, and it doesn't make sense if you're doing what you're doing too with staying. If you're staying like off, if you're off property, if you're at a Disney Springs resort, it might not be worthwhile. You know, you can save that $50 or $80 per person, and okay, well now you've got like a really good dinner at Boathouse.
Well, I think this last one fits really well with where we're going. We're gonna shift gears a little bit to our number one, but it's gonna sort of make sense. So another way that Nick and I differ is as far as dining goes. Nick loves a good table service meal, and I do too. You know, we're not anti the opposite. Again, we agree on these things. It's just we generally do it differently. Nick will do more table service and I do more quick service. And a lot of that, I mean, sure, it's based on money too, but we don't mind sitting down and having a good table service. But a lot of that is just maximizing time for us. So if we are in a ride, or if we're in a line, excuse me, we'll use this example. We're in line for Tron or Space Mountain, generally in that area. We know we're close to getting on the ride, and we can go in, and while we're standing in line, we can pick the food that we're going to order, and we can get that order ready to go, so that when we get off the ride, we can hit the button, we're here. When we get off, like, I'm not going to hit it beforehand, because I don't want to. We get off the ride, we hit we're here. Right. So as soon as we're off the ride, we hit pay, we hit we're here, and then we walk over to the restaurant. Usually around that time it's ready. I don't think it's ever been a time where we've hit that button and it's been ready and we weren't there, because I don't want to take advantage and do it too early. But anyway, back to my original point is quick service versus table service. For us, it's a lot of times it's about maximizing time. And the quick service food has improved in a lot of places. There's one place where I like Pecos Bills. I haven't had great food the last couple times. I know you really like it.
I like it. I wouldn't say I really like it. I like it because of what it provides.
Right. We haven't had great experiences.
It's not been great the last few times.
We had a bunch of great experiences, and the last two weren't that great. So listeners, if you had a great experience, let us know. Shoot us a message, just so maybe I'll feel a little bit better. But the quality of the burgers over in Tomorrowland there at Cosmic Rays have improved.
They've gotten way better.
Yes. I would say at least two times better. I think that's an honest answer. Is like they used to be just, I don't know, hockey pucks and the regardless whether you're gluten. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say there's still quick service burgers, but they're way better than what they were.
Agree. Yeah. I think the burgers in general on property have gotten that much better. Connections Cafe, I think, has one of the best ones around, and they have cool varieties. I had like a Santa Fe burger last time. Well, no, it was like 3 times ago. And it was, had like corn salsa on it, and it was just cool and different. Because sometimes, you're at Disney, do you want to just get the standard burger? Sure. Some people want their typical thing they always get, but we're in Disney. We might as well get something different. So I'll kind of hand off to here too. This is kind of the end, and I'll have you talk about your love for table service.
I do want to say that increasingly, your advantage to quick service is disappearing. The whole idea of mobile ordering as you want it is going away. And I don't mean that mobile ordering is going away. There are restaurants that you cannot mobile order at noon when you want it. You have to have ordered it for noon at 9 a.m. And that's real. So I don't want people to go there and be like, you said I could do this, and they're going to Satuli Canteen and they can't, because you won't be able to. So like the planning
you can get in the walk-up line.
Yes, you can still eat there. But I'm saying the mobile order thing might be sold out. Like the mobile order slot might not be available,
and the wait is incredibly long. Sure.
Right. So for me,
you're right about that.
Like if I had to put equal amount of planning and thought into it, I'd rather sit down, and it's in air conditioning, right? Not that some quick services aren't, but a lot of them, like, yeah, it's air conditioning, but like you're sitting right up tight to somebody that you don't know, and they've been sweating too. Like if you're in Epcot and you go to pretty much any of the quick services, like let's say you go to Cantina, right? If you go to the Cantina and you go around the corner, you might be able to go inside, but you might not. You might have to sit outside with all the birds eating your food.
Well, let's do Flame Tree Barbecue. There's no inside seating at all.
Right, yeah.
Everything is outside with the birds.
So for me, I'd just rather sit down. And people will say what they want to say about Disney food not being good and how it's not refined. Yeah, because you've only ever had quick service. If you go to Disney and you go to some of these, go to Tiffin's, go to Nomad Lounge, leave the park, right? Leave the park, leave Magic Kingdom, go over to Poly, go to Wailulu Lounge, go to or Wailulu Grill, go to the Tambu Lounge, go to Ohana, go to Kona Cafe, go over to Contemporary and eat over there. There are phenomenal restaurants on Disney property. I love good food and good drinks, and I'm going to do it. So whether that's to me, the cost is not that much of a difference either. Like, it's just not. You're paying $18 to $20 for your quick service meal.
Well, I'm not arguing with the math guy because you know the numbers.
But and I do get the time, right? I understand the time savings sometimes. Like, this is a way, like, if I am going to go a rope drop to park close, I'm definitely having a table service in the middle of there so I can sit down for an hour and a half
and get a reset.
Relax.
Yeah, sure.
And some of them are like going over to Tusker House, right? That's, I mean, until you've done it, you don't understand how great of a reset that is. To have like that kind of food in that park is phenomenal. Going to Garden Grill in Epcot, or any of the wonderful restaurants in Epcot for that matter, or leaving the backside of Epcot. Like, let's say you've never been to the boardwalk area. If you've never been to the boardwalk area and you walk out there and you're like, holy cow, this is so amazing.
Cool. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And there's so many good restaurants right there. So for me, table service all the way. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't do quick service. It doesn't mean that I think that Rob's wrong, Rob's family's wrong. It just means that for me, I'm going to have a table service a day. You know what I mean?
And we've been doing more of it too. It kind of changes depending on what you're feeling, because we've done quite a few. But like eating inside, one thing I always wanted to do was eat inside in the Mexico Pavilion, because I've seen it, and every time you ride, the Three Caballeros ride there, I'm always like, oh, I always want to eat there. So we did that for our anniversary. That's where my wife and I chose. That's the one place that we wanted to go, and the food was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're getting into it a little bit more now.
Absolutely. So we definitely disagree on some things, but it's not usually Disney. We do things differently at Disney. That's for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want to have some more input into our episodes, you should head over to patreon.com/DizListPod. Join for free. You can certainly drop us messages there. Put a comment underneath like one of the other episodes. We get that all the time. Like, hey, this made me think you should do this. So we do listen, because this episode is directly from that post about the 200. But we certainly disagree in how we do things, and we do them differently. But guys, it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.